we were going to talk about the sort of the network outage a little bit later and how sort of you dealt with that crisis. But purely from a sort of experience, brand, social media perspective, you know, that seemed to be very important to you, and you guys dealt with it very well from a social media perspective, people understand. It says here, the Daily Telegraph said that you were basically, it was a masterclass in social media, and O2, quote, O2 responded with witty messages that made their customers giggle and lightened the overall mood of the whole disaster. Matt Saunders, which is one of the customers, said, who's obviously an advocate, said, why is O2 responding to offensive tweets? Just ignore them, O2. To which the O2 UK team responded with, they're not so bad. Sometimes all they need is a bit of care and attention. Tell us, if you can, about how that, that branding, that sort of social media thing can come across at every touch point of a customer, whether it's, you know, going to the O2, not the Millennium Dome, or whether it's dealing with, you know, a time of crisis like that. How do you make sure that you're on brand all the time, everywhere?
Well, it's interesting. Somebody a lot cleverer than me said culture is what happens when nobody's watching. You know, our values in the business are bold, open, trusted, and clear. And on the moment of a crisis, people align to their values and they behave in that way. And so our social media response, of course we have people trained in social media, but was the natural response of people who are clearly aligned with the brand. You know, the first thing to say, as I did at the time, is we screwed up and we let our customers down. But we didn't faff about. We stood up and we said it. You know, and if there is one thing about leadership, is take one step forward, stand up, be clear. The only place you can lead from is the front. Yeah. You know, so we got on TV, and I personally said, we screwed up. It shouldn't have happened. And I spoke directly to not the journalists, but to the customers and to our staff in every part of the business who wanted to understand why this had happened and what we were going to do about it. And the guys on the social and girls on the social media team just responded in the same vein, and they really responded in a way that says, this does matter to us, and despite the fact that some of you have maybe lost a little bit of perspective about this, we're going to respond in a very O2 way. And I don't think there's any crisis planning you can do that allows people to respond authentically if they don't believe in that themselves every day when they turn up to work.
It's one of the things I did notice, though, watching you in those media interviews. I think it was the same day or the day after, it was fast. So how important was the speed to which you responded?
Speed is vitally important. And look, if I take lessons from that, is one of the challenges that I think any business has is how do you demonstrate that the communication channel is open when you actually have no new news? Because that is a real challenge. Right. So for the first X hours, I simply did not know what had caused. And the customers wanted to know three things. What's happened? Why did it happen? And what the blank blank are you going to do about it? And when I couldn't answer the what happened, you know, it was very difficult. And so there was a few hours where we were updating, but essentially the update was the same as the update an hour earlier. And what people didn't realize was we were checking in regularly and doing that. So that's definitely both a challenge and a learning, is how do you communicate no news in a way that reassures people that you're still actively communicating. But fast, you know, we have a process that all major businesses will have, but we declared a P0, which is a major incident, within a half an hour, realizing that this could be big. And as a result, we then initiated all of our procedures around that, whether it be the social media and the comms teams, but our engineering team. We had 250 people on that issue within an hour. So it's being well prepared and then being decisive. And then it goes back to it again, and then communicate. Because once we went out and people said, okay, I understand it, and let's be honest with it, and forgive my thing is, but you know, people know in technology that stuff happens. That's not an excuse, but it is a reality. And most of our customers would prefer us to continue to pioneer and innovate than to stand back and be risk averse. So they know that's part of the relationship with O2. But please just keep me on side. Tell me what's going on. Explain to me what you've done, what you're going to do about it. And more recently, we've gone out and said the particular piece of the network that caused that incident, we've now removed from the network because we're not prepared to take the risk of letting our customers down again.
From a leadership perspective, they always say you've got to stay calm during a crisis. You did stay calm. Were you calm on the inside? Presumably.
Was I calm on the inside? I think one of the real qualities of leadership is, you know, authenticity, and I'm not the first to say it. But for me, that means being the same person inside the office, outside the office, in a crisis, not in a crisis. It's just that being real. Yeah. So the real me is that same person. You know, I do not, for good or ill, I do not lie awake at night and worry about anything. Right. Because I spend all my time during the day doing what I can to influence the outcome. So when I get home in the evening, I've done whatever I can, so I sleep peacefully in my bed. That night, I didn't go to bed. I stayed up and I communicated with our network team, with my CTO, and with my shareholders in Madrid. And my boss didn't sleep either, because every time I sent him an email update, he was on 30 seconds later. To be clear, in an extremely supportive way. But that particular night, we just decided we'd do the 24 hours. And actually, you know, without sounding trite about it, stand in the shoes of our customers who were there sitting, waiting, saying, what's going to happen?
Absolutely. That is phenomenal. Who would have thought we'd had a workshop as to how to sleep better at night? So it wasn't even on the agenda for today. You see?